Well, welcome to our week 8, and this is the second episode of Eden Marine Radio. Thank you for tuning in. With me today, we have a few guests. We have Mr. Angus Lamb, and we have Miss Francis, and we also have a very special guest, Mr. Keith Duran, with us as well. Hello to you all.
Hello.
Hey, how you going?
Hey. Yeah, very good. So Angus, you know Keith quite well. Could you just tell us a little bit about our special guest today?
Well, I should warn you to begin with, Gabe. He's actually a maths teacher, so we need to be on our guard today. So just a bit of a warning out to everyone. But I know Keith from a long time back. Keith used to work at Young High School. He was the principal at Young High School for some time. And I, a long time ago, worked at Young High School before Keith was there. But now he's what's called the Director of Educational Leadership for the Eden Monaro Principals Network. So that's basically what he does now. And he effectively is one of the people who looks after our school.
Very cool. Well, morning to you again, Keith. Thank you so much for being with us today. Director of Educational Leadership of the Eden Monaro Principals Network. That's a reasonably large title. Can you break that down for our students and our parents at home? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, look, Gabe, I can. I want to start by saying thank you for inviting me along today. And it's great to see you guys made it to episode 2. I think there was a question last week about whether we get past episode 1, but obviously it's been a smashing hit. So really great to be here and to be one of the invited guests early on. Look, that title does sound big. It does sound long. But at the end of the day, I think, Gus called it out at the start. I'm a maths teacher. Fundamentally, I'm still a teacher. So my enjoyment and my passion about being in education is about seeing kids thrive in the teaching and learning environment. What do I do? Well, I used to be a principal, so I used to be able to supervise and work with and lead a school community. But now I just do that on a bigger scale. So I oversee about 20 schools. I work with primary schools and I work with high schools. I work with principals. Sometimes I work with the executive team. Sometimes I work with the teachers, and that's all about seeing where we're going, seeing how we're supporting our kids, making sure we're focusing on teaching and learning. Sometimes complex things happen in school. And so sometimes it's about working around complex management of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just about being another leader within the system where I get to work with staff, I get to work with kids, I get to work with communities. I just do it on a bigger scale in this role, very similar to what you guys do. Support students, support staff, support each other, and really focus on making public education as good as can be for everyone.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Keith, I think we're pretty interested in some of the different schools that you see. I mean, obviously we know what's going on down in our little part of the world. But could you give us a bit of an insight in what's happening for other students in the area? I know we've got some people who probably had snow. There's probably people who've had all sorts of issues. Tell us about what it's like in some of the other schools.
So, I guess the really great privilege in this role is I get to see so much, So I started as a high school maths teacher. I was a high school principal. So very similar to you, get to understand the context of a high school. But in this role, I get to see small teaching principal schools where we might have, 5, 10, 20, 30 kids, up to our larger primary schools, right the way through to central schools and high schools. So this role really allows me to get to see all the different things that happen from being 5 years old through to 18, and it's pretty special. Things that are happening, you're right, through the last 12 months, I've seen schools temporarily cease operations for a whole variety of reasons. Bushfire, COVID, snow, floods. It's a pretty unique part of the world we all live in down here. So I cover from Cooma up to Mikalago near Queanbeyan, out to Jindabyne, and then down to you guys on the coast, Eden, Pambula, Merimbula, and all the schools on the mountain in between. So I really get to see a huge variety of contexts. What do I love about the place? I love the dedication of country kids and of our staff in rural communities. So I've seen it all, from schools Zooming online. So in this particular context at the moment, Angus, we've got schools that are using Google Classrooms. We've got schools that are online and delivering lessons live. We've got schools where internet's really difficult for families to access, and we're using paper packs and we're getting those home and they're coming back and we're working through feedback. And then we've got the blended delivery everywhere in between, because in some schools, internet access is easier than in parts of that school intake area compared to other areas where it's not so easy. So schools are doing everything they can to support their kids in their own context, and it's also different and difficult between how you might instruct and support a 5-year-old as to how, our kids at Eden Marine in year 12, for example, are preparing for the HSC. So really vast differences in delivery. But the one thing I'm really proud of is that every school in our part of the world has just hooked right in and provided huge amounts of support for our kids and our families. And I think, that's pretty special. It's been a pretty seamless transition for most of our schools right across the Eden Monaro network. And I think that comes through, one, the dedication of our staff, and two, the willingness and the support from our kids and our parents, in what is a difficult time for everyone.
That sounds great, Keith. It makes it very clear that it's not one size fits all for all the schools at the moment either. And I think we need to be mindful of that. And on that, how have you found lockdown personally for yourself? Have you got Zoom fatigue yet? Are you over it?
If I'm honest, Jill, I'm not finding it 100% easy, but I know it's the right thing and what we need to do at the moment, given the situation. I have got Zoom fatigue. The one thing I love about our network is that when I drive from school to school, there's beautiful scenery. I get to jump on the phone. I get to interact with people. I get to do a variety of tasks through the day in my role normally. So when you see me drop into Eden Marine, I'll probably go to you guys. I'll probably go to Eden Public School. I might go to Pambula or one of the small schools on the way out of town and have a few different meetings in between. So it's really, the day is full of variety. At the moment for us in lockdown, I'm landing at my desk at generally about 8 o'clock, and my Zooms will go pretty much back to back through to who knows whatever time, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I think today I'm literally back to back till 4. So yeah, certainly a bit of Zoom fatigue. But worse than the Zoom fatigue for me are my 3 Cavaliers. So working from home, I know some of our parents are going, the kids, and there's too many and there's too much going on. I've got 3 Cavies and they're really spoiled, and we've just got a puppy. And so you can probably, I don't know how good the sound is at the moment, but I've got one of them crying at the door right now because I've shut it to try and not be interrupted for this session. So, they're pretty good. They time it at the end of a Zoom to start frustrating me. I lock them out for the next Zoom. I bring them in for the following Zoom. But that's one of my biggest challenges, is managing my kids at home.
I think that's a relatable answer for a lot of us at home. What are some of your tips for our students during lockdown around mental health, minimising screens, getting outside, that sort of thing?
I think it's really important for us to be balanced and to not put too much pressure on ourselves. That's our staff and our students, even our HSC kids. You've had a long lead into this point in time, so don't stress about everything having to be done in the next few weeks or the last few weeks. I think you've got to break it up, so as I think I said to you just before I came onto this, I was outside with the puppies. Go outside and get some fresh air. You can certainly get Zoom fatigue. You can certainly get locked in the room. And I'll be honest, those big days that I talk about where I'm back to back, I come out with headaches, and I don't normally come out of the day with a headache if I'm on the road and I'm talking to principals and I'm doing that variety of tasks. So try and really make sure you've got a variety of tasks and you work flexibly and you break it up. We're not in normal learning at the moment, so don't expect that you've got to sit at the desk from 9 till 3 and move in 50-minute lots. Work with your staff, work with the teachers, work with family, and really mix it up. Go outside, kick a ball around, have a break, go for that walk that you're allowed to go for, just balance it, look after your own well-being, get on the phone and talk to some of your friends. I don't want you to spend lots of time on the computer, but if you're struggling a little bit, go and have a look at some of those online wellbeing support structures, BU, Kids Headspace, things like that, where there's some resources if you're finding it tough and you need to think about how to support yourself or look for support from others. So they'd probably be my key tips, Jill, but really break it up, have variety, don't be too hard on yourself, and don't get locked into the fact that because you're at work, you've got to sit at the desk for the whole time.
No, some really great thoughts there. Any other kind of just final messages for parents? I know you mentioned particularly teachers and kids, with just quick message for parents. You mentioned them before.
Yeah. Look, I do want to thank our parents, because it's an interesting time, and we've asked parents to engage in learning from home, and across our network, we have been really well supported by our parents. So I've got to thank them for that. We don't have many kids at school, and we know that this particular strain, the Delta strain of COVID, is more contagious for our kids. So the recognition of that from the parents and the support from our parents in that space has been really well received, and we really appreciate it. What would I suggest for parents? Geez, I don't know. I mean, parenting from 9 to 3 and looking after kids is enough at times. I'd say just don't be too hard on the kids. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't think you've got to get through everything. Certainly don't think you've got to know everything either. It's interesting. I dialed into Paul Gilbert's maths lesson the other day. You talk about me being a maths teacher, Angus. Paul invited me to come and have a look at his HSC prep with some of the extension kids.
Wow.
It was awesome. But because I haven't taught maths for a little while, I was sitting there going, like I was struggling to remember some of the content, and if that's my area of expertise and I haven't done it in a little while and it's hard to remember, our parents can't be expected to know everything and help their kids all the way through everything. So don't stress if that's the case. Biggest tip, keep up communication with the school. Talk to the teachers, talk to the year advisors, talk to the deputies, the principals, the head teachers, whoever it is you need to talk to, and just keep that partnership up, and let's work together as much as we can, as flexibly as we can, and just do our best.
No, it's a really great thought. Yeah, stay in touch, for everyone involved, just really reaching out if things are a struggle. Obviously, through the normal channels. Angus, I just wanted to put it over to you to kind of finish up, I suppose, but just some of the key information for this week, some of the things you can just remind us about would be great.
Yeah, okay. So just for year 11, obviously your exams are starting in week 9, which is this week. So make sure you guys are on top of that. You will get some information. You'll have some information on your Google Classroom already. So make sure you're following that. Year 10, just a reminder, your subject selection interviews, they're postponed until term 4. And year 8, you should have already done your subject selection. So if you haven't, make sure you go and check your emails, because they would have been sent to you on Friday, and you need to get in there and pick your subjects. So year 8, look out for that. And everyone, can you just be aware, students, we are doing a few more Zooms, and that's including also some whole year group Zooms. And we really like to see our students attend our Zooms. So if you can pop into those Zooms, if you can't make it into the Zoom, make sure you send a message to your teacher so that they know that you can't. But yeah, basically look out for lots of stuff happening. We're getting busy. It's still the end of term, but we're still very busy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, for all the students out there, make sure you're kind of connecting with the teachers, getting online, and obviously for the parents as well, making sure you're on that Facebook as well for those latest updates. Now, Keith, I was going to ask you, mathematician, but are you much of a musician yourself? Do you sing or do you play an instrument?
So I was known to play the triangle in the school choir.
Okay.
Or school band back in the day. And singing is generally reserved for when no one else is around.
Yeah, nice.
It's not a forte. I did do piano for 6 months when I was a kid, when I was about 6 years old.
Enough.
But I think soccer took over. So
soccer took over.
Yeah, that's about the musical expertise.
No, fair enough. The reason I ask is, it sounds like you're kind of private with your creativity and your musicality and that kind of thing. We've got a very kind of public display of some of the musical skill amongst our teachers. So we're actually going to go to a little clip, which many students would have seen already, but it's basically like a remake of a classic, well, not a classic, but an Adele song, just to kind of get the kids entertained.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if later on in Zoom you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say that I'm supposed to teach you during COVID-19. Hello, can you hear me? I'm wondering how the internet from Kyle will succeed. and now we're outside 4DG. But there's no one to show my skills to, just avocado trees and me. The social distance between us seems a million miles.
Yeah, we might finish it up there. So next time, Keith, I think we get you involved in one of those videos if you're interested. Give us a bit of a performance. We'll chuck you on the triangle. But thank you again, Keith, for talking with us. I know that it'll be a great encouragement for someone like yourself to particularly for the parents, I think, to just reach out and in the way you have and just to kind of, I suppose, letting parents know that everyone up the chain is really thinking and mindful of the challenge that this period is for a lot of parents and students. And so I want to say a very special thank you to you for coming on for us. And to those at home, I just want to say thank you again for tuning in. Again, if you don't follow our Facebook page, the Eden Marine High School Facebook page, please do. That's where you're going to get a lot of the updates about what's happening in the general life of the school. And make sure you're connecting. If you are struggling at home, if there are things you need help with, reach out to the school, either through the classrooms or email the school or call the school directly. That'd be great. But signing off for now, and thanks so much for listening to episode 2 of Eden Marine Radio. Thanks a lot.